Jobs are not what they used to be. The average time an employee spends with their company is now at the lowest level ever, and that's by design. We have gone from full-time to part-time to casual to gig work, lowering the expectation of a long-term professional relationship every step of the way. If this didn't do enough, studies have shown that many workplaces are now intentionally promoting the fear of job losses in an attempt to motivate workers and keep costs down. But this is usually a really dumb idea. The death of job security is bad for workers and bad for companies. But nobody cares anymore.
So we have immediately seen, Andrew, layoffs. We have seen price increases, so that's inflation.
Teachers and staff at schools from coast to coast could soon be out of the job.
15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record.
Mr. Musk said the company would look to reduce headcount by around 10%.
The layoffs are already piling up this year, and we're just a few weeks into 2024.
Up until the 1980s, it wasn't unusual for workers to spend their entire professional careers working with just one company. Company loyalty was highly valued by both employers and employees, and the threat of getting laid off or fired was incredibly low. If you ever watch old films and see someone getting fired as a major plot point, just remember it actually was a big deal back then.
Third prize is you're fired.
But according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, those days are long gone. The average tenure of young employees these days is less than a third of the baby boomers exiting the workforce. I don't want to sound too old here, but back in my day, people actually cared about losing their job. But today, getting fired or laid off from your company just makes good content to post on TikTok. This is a bad trend for companies, because it takes away their biggest stick. The fear of getting fired is always going to be a motivator in the workplace. There really is no way around that. If you don't do your job or cause too much trouble for the company, you are going to lose your job along with the pay and benefits that come with it. But as the great Peter Gibbons would say, that will only make someone work just hard enough to not get fired. The death of job security means that people just expect to lose their job at some point in their career these days. But there are 3 big reasons why it was allowed to get this bad, and 3 reasons why nobody really cares anymore. The first reason is that companies give up on training their own staff. There is an old joke about company staffing that goes something like this. The CEO and head of HR are arguing about the cost to train staff. The CEO asks, "What would happen if we spent all this money and they quit?" To which the head of HR responds, "What happened if we don't spend the money and they stay?" But as more people move jobs more often, the CEO's argument is actually starting to make sense. Research conducted by Peter Capelli, the director of the Wharton School's Center for Human Resources, found that the time and money spent on staff training within companies has fallen drastically. In 1979, the average worker received 2.5 weeks on the job training every single year. By 2004, it was just 11 hours, and most of that was safety training, not developing new skills. A more recent follow-up survey conducted by the same team in 2011 found that only 1/5 of workers received any on-the-job training at all within the last year. Companies don't want to train people because they are leaving their jobs more frequently than they used to, so they are only willing to hire employees that are already able to do the job. Standardized systems have made this a lot easier for them to do. If you are a professional office worker, it's almost a prerequisite to have a basic proficiency in Microsoft Office, especially Excel. And every profession now has its own industry standard productivity programs. If you are a creative, you use Adobe Suite. If you are in sales, you use HubSpot or a comparable CRM. And if you're in marketing, you need to know your way around a box of crayons. Oh, and the advertising analytics backend of Google, Meta, and LinkedIn. Since these skills have become the standard for all employees, companies can hire people that are already ready to work on day one, where in the past, they would need a lengthy training program on the unique in-house systems of that particular company. But standardized programs have also meant that people can find a new job that they are qualified for with less barriers, which means they switch jobs more often, which means companies invest less into training unloyal staff, which creates even more need for industry standard systems. The ultimate incarnation of this trend is platform-based gig work. The professional relationship for this kind of work lasts as long as the app is running, and writers often work between multiple apps at the same time to maximize earning and minimize downtime. If you want to get ahead in a professional career these days, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are going to have to invest some of your own time and money into training yourself, even if it's just to tick a meaningless qualification box. Companies aren't going to train you anymore, which means if you quit or get laid off, it's not as big of a deal for either party. But the decline of on-job training is just the first reason. So it's time to learn how money works, to find out why job security is dying, why nobody cares, and what happens when nobody has a job for long enough to be good at it. This week's lesson is sponsored by Manscaped. Just in time for Father's Day, Manscaped introduces the must-have gifts for every dad. Meet the Handyman and the Weed Whacker 2.0. First up, the Handyman, the face shaver designed for dads who can handle everything but their unruly facial hair. Featuring a dual blade system including a standard foil shaver and a long hair leveler blade, the Handyman ensures a close, smooth shave, tackling up to 3 days of growth effortlessly. What makes the Handyman exceptional is its skin-safe technology, significantly reducing the risk of nicks and cuts, and its waterproof design making it easy to rinse under the faucet. Now onto the Weed Whacker 2.0. This nose and ear trimmer is perfect for dads looking to manage those tricky areas. It features a 7,000 RPM motor and a 360-degree rotary dual-blade system for efficient grooming. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is cordless, waterproof, and it comes with a high-performance battery that lasts up to 45 minutes, ensuring it's always ready when dad needs it. Don't settle for ordinary gifts like coffee mugs this Father's Day. Opt for something from Manscaped like the Handyman or the Weed Whacker 2.0 and help dad elevate his grooming game from caveman to gentleman. Head over to manscaped.com and use promo code HMW20 and get 20% off plus free international shipping. Make this Father's Day one to remember with Manscaped. The death of job security is bad news for companies, even if they were the ones that caused it. The simple fact is that when you get a new job, you aren't going to be very good at what you do until you learn your new role. Standardized systems have made it easier to transfer basic competencies between companies, but even little things like who you talk to about authorizing your expense reports, the names and faces of clients, or how the office printer works, they all take time for new people to learn. According to a study conducted by Gallup, a business analytics company, it takes the average employee 12 months before they reach their full performance potential in their new role. Other studies have suggested that new employees are not fully autonomous in their responsibilities for the first 18 months of their employment. If new entrants into the job market are only spending 3 years in their jobs on average, that means they are going to be spending a third of their career just getting up to speed in their new role. That means a loss in productivity for the companies they work for. Right? Wrong. Worker productivity is actually at all-time highs, so that begs the question, is this in spite of lower job security or because of it? The second reason that job security has been dying is that it's a great motivation tool. If the fear of losing your job is only enough to motivate you to do the bare minimum to avoid that tap on the shoulder, then you should know that companies have responded by moving those goalposts. A study conducted by economists at Manchester and Cardiff University looked at the motivating factor of what they called manufactured job uncertainty. In this report, researchers tried to work out why fears of job security was going up, even when the rates of people being fired from full-time positions was stable. They did this by comparing companies in America and the UK, who are very happy to lay people off to appease shareholders, to companies in Japan, which has a strong culture of never firing people. A small tangent, but Japanese businesses actually take firing people so seriously that they have an alternative practice called oidashibeya, but this loosely translates to workers' purgatory. According to Japan Intercultural Consulting, a firm that advises businesses operating in the Japanese market, workers' purgatory happens when an employee chronically underperforms in their role. Instead of getting fired, they are typically placed in a room, often windowless, where they have nothing to do. In many cases, their business cards are taken away, and they are forced to do menial, mind-numbing tasks or given nothing to do at all. So yeah, Japanese companies would rather put their workers in solitary confinement than fire them, making them a pretty good contrast to companies in America and the UK. What the economists found was that even when job tenure wasn't actually being reduced by layoffs or firings, changes to corporate control and especially company mergers or acquisitions raised uncertainty. Companies noticed that by hyping up this uncertainty and making workers compete against each other to maintain their position in a theoretical downsizing, they could get people to work harder. Companies doing this would rank the performance of their teams and compare them to one another, highlight staff errors, and downplay strong performers so that managers and their teams always felt like their job was at risk. The Japanese firms, despite actually having shorter tenures for managers and operating with more business uncertainty thanks to a weaker overall economy, had a higher sense of job security, mainly thanks to a culture of protecting workers even at the expense of shareholders. In a wonderful twist of fate, though, the study also found that this is not really working on younger employees. Decades of well-publicized layoffs means that younger managers have no expectation of job security and aren't afraid of losing their jobs as much as older managers who come from a time when people could spend their entire careers with one company. The rank and yank strategy only works to boost productivity for so long. A company should get rid of bad employees, But if it makes everybody feel on edge about their jobs forever, then even the best employees are just going to look for better opportunities elsewhere. Younger workers have also realized that changing jobs more frequently, especially early in their career, is the best way to move up the corporate ladder and secure pay increases. I will say it in every video I can, but if you want to increase your earnings in your career, multiple studies suggest that the best way to do this is to change jobs roughly every 2 years, and always be on the lookout for better opportunities. Companies do not value staff loyalty anymore, because they can't. And that's the third reason why job security is dying. It costs businesses a lot of money to hire new employees, and then more money to pay them while they're getting good at their job. If they are hiring externally for a more senior position, they will also need to pay that new hire more than an internal promotion. So if it makes no sense, then why do companies keep doing this? Well, it's easier. An internal promotion means someone else needs to be promoted to fill that person's position, and someone else needs to be promoted to fill theirs. Now, instead of your company having 1 employee in a new job, it has 5. Hiring managers could do this, or they could just hire an external candidate that already knows the systems and then get back to scrolling Reddit in their office. Workers also don't believe in job stability either. Things like employee pension plans and career development are all the responsibility of the worker now. And if they are accepting that responsibility, they also want the freedom that comes with it. Some companies like consulting, legal, and accounting firms have built their entire workforce around limited-time employees. Overworked, underpaid graduates will stick it out in entry-level roles because they know it looks good on the resume when they apply for a real job in 2 years. Companies can attract high-performing workers by bragging about how secure they are. Even companies that were considered American institutions have fallen apart too many times for people to think that their job is secure. And job security isn't a selling point worth taking a job for because people have learned not to care. So, congratulations, corporate America, you kind of played yourself. There's so much more I want to say on this topic, but it wouldn't make for a good YouTube video. For things like that, make sure you're subscribed to my totally free email newsletter Compounded Daily if you want to get articles that can't be made into videos. The bonus 4th reason that job security is dead is this man right here. Go and watch my new video to find out how an unremarkable chemical engineer worked his way up to personally reshape corporate America into what it is today, all while destroying his company in the process, to keep on learning how money works.